I think Ada is in an incredibly great position. You look around the nation at the problems that everyone's going through. Ada isn't perfect, but we are right now set up for what could be the next great leap for our community.
Without these funds and without this funding mechanism, I think that we would have been more stagnant. This is allowing Ada to move forward.
We want to attract more jobs. We want to attract more manufacturers to Ada. We want to improve our housing situation. We want to improve our streets. It is not anything new. It will not raise any of our sales tax. It is only a continuance.
When prospective residents and employers are coming into the town, they look at the way the city looks and make judgments based on those first impressions. If we are able to improve our streets and pull in additional employers, we are able to capitalize on that synergy.
We all live here, work here. We want to continue so, or we would not still be here.
The quality of our infrastructure is an indirect measure of quality of life for any community. The dependability of the infrastructure a city provides to its citizens is paramount to its success.
I don't think our infrastructure would be anywhere near where it is today if we wouldn't have had Prop 1 in the past years.
Nothing has had a stronger, more positive impact on Ada's physical growth in the past 50 years than Proposition 1. The 3/4-cent sales tax provided by this measure has facilitated an impressive amount of infrastructure improvements, unparalleled in Ada's 111-year history.
Anyone who has watched where Ada was the first time we passed Prop 1 and where we are now, it's very clear that Prop 1 has been a huge success for us. I absolutely never considered the miles worth of pipes that go under the ground to bring water, to take sewer, what happens to it, where it comes from, how it's treated, just those things that you don't even see, plus the amount of roads, all of the infrastructure needs that we have as a growing city. And to me, if we hope to grow, if we hope to continue to grow, that is why Prop 1 is so important.
Before citizens first approved Proposition 1 in 1998, Ada was at the proverbial crossroads. Roads were crumbling, overhead water storage was woefully inadequate, water and sewer lines were collapsing. The city's aging infrastructure had long been suffering, with available funds only allowing for emergency patching here and there. In short, Ada was falling apart.
The city's infrastructure is old. Some of the infrastructure that's in place was here when the city was originally founded. I think that if it were not for the Prop 1 funds utilized for street, water, and sewer, we would be experiencing a lot more deficient streets, inadequate sewers, and a water system unable to provide the water to our citizens.
If we didn't have Proposition 1, every penny that we have would be going just to keep us afloat. We would ever do anything other than the thing that just blew up, the thing that just became a huge problem, and that's all we would ever do. Without Prop 1, I believe our budget would only allow us to react to emergencies instead of preparing for the future.
Citizens took note and stepped up to save their city. In the 14 years since that first election, citizens have approved Proposition 1 2 more times. It's evidence the city has made great strides on infrastructure improvements and indicative that citizens desire to see more.
The successful passing of the Proposition funds in the earlier elections tells me that our citizens are concerned about our infrastructure. They do place a value on quality of life. They want to see that only continue to get better. And I think they recognize the direct link between those funds and being able to make the improvements that allow us to all benefit.
It's just a fact of life that things wear out and we have to replace it. Streets wear out, lights wear out, sewer lines, water lines wear out, and we have to not only maintain those things but to replace them when their life is over. And we have to have a funding mechanism to do that with, and that's what Prop 1 does for us.
You can't grow and have progress and new business, which is new jobs, which is a good economy, which we are fortunate enough to have, without progress. And those things that are infrastructure, companies look at that are thinking about putting people here, companies here, relocating.
You see the projects that develop and you see them under construction, and then when finished, there's a definite, tangible product that you can see and realize the benefit from.
Since its initial approval in 1998, Proposition 1 has generated nearly $34 million, and the city has utilized almost $30 million to reconstruct its busiest streets, rebuild its subterranean infrastructure, and double its amount of overhead water storage.
The roads are better, the infrastructure is better. We've had things come down from the state level, mandates put on us that I don't know how we would have functioned, how we would have survived those mandates without Prop 1. And so in a lot of ways, it's kept us from having to really go through some very painful times and very painful decisions, because the voters had given us the ability to be prepared for some of those mandates that we didn't even see coming.
The cost to make the improvements that we need to make today are more than the funds we have available. However, I think we do a good job of balancing priorities as to the costs and funds we have available. It allows us to keep moving forward. If it were not for Prop 1 funds, I do believe that we would be moving backwards in keeping up our infrastructure.
Proposition 1 has also enabled the city to purchase the equipment to make most of the improvements in-house. More importantly, it has allowed the city to create jobs to match the necessary manpower needed for the increase in reconstruction projects.
We're able to not only design but also build our own streets. We have the flexibility today to do that in concrete or asphalt, depending on the classification and traffic counts for each respective street. It's an opportunity and a benefit that a lot of cities don't have. It offers and affords us a lot of flexibility.
Without Prop 1, there are large chunks of city departments that probably wouldn't exist. The biggest example would be the asphalt plant, that we have an entire plant, an entire crew dedicated to making our own streets.
With Proposition 1 funds in place, the Ada City Council has been able to set priorities for projects, addressing the areas most in need of attention first. This approach has enabled the city to tackle improvements so that the maximum number of citizens may benefit.
We hold council meetings, we hold special call meetings, we hold planning meetings where we discuss the needs for the streets, street improvements, water and sewer system improvements. With street reconstruction and improvements, you're never really done. When you get to the end of the list, it's time to go back to the beginning of the list. It's another reason why the continuation of Prop 1 is so important.
The City Council works diligently to kind of prioritize all of those projects, because there's never a shortage of the things that we need to do, and there is a long-range plan for what needs to be done when and how we prioritize that money. It's definitely a lot more complex than I ever thought it was to figure out how to do that.
If there's a street that you would like to see replaced or improved, the most immediate step would be to contact your council member or attend any council meeting to bring it to their attention, and then ultimately then we would discuss it in the planning and review meetings when we hold them.
Every segment of the Ada community has enjoyed the fruits of the Proposition 1 measure. Whether it's a newly rebuilt concrete street surface complete with curb and gutter, a smoother asphalt overlay, or rehabilitated water and sewer lines, citizens are systematically receiving upgrades to the infrastructure upon which they rely on a daily basis.
The use of Prop 1 has allowed other projects to occur through other funding mechanisms, so the end result is we're able to perform more of the needs sooner than we would otherwise be able to.
We really are at a tipping point, I think, on our street projects, that we have laid the groundwork to be able to start doing a lot of roads quickly. The thing that limits how many roads we can do is the budget. And we have X amount of dollars a year, and without Prop 1, that X would be about zero.
Not only have citizens taken notice, so have businesses. Over the past decade and a half, Ada has experienced a spike in new retail business unlike any other in its past, thanks in large part to the renewed infrastructure provided by Proposition 1.
If you look at a list of all the projects that have been funded with Prop 1 in particular, it would be rather lengthy, and there are a lot of things that have positive things that have happened as a result of that make our community a better place to live and more attractive for potential employers and employees.
A retail business, the only reason they would ever go anywhere is because they can be successful. And Ada is definitely a place where retail businesses can be successful.
It would not be an overstatement to say that Proposition 1 has saved Ada from some measure of economic and cultural irrelevance. With Oklahoma communities more competitive than ever before, every angle helps ensure growth and sustainability. Proposition 1 has allowed Ada to stand out as one of the state's most progressive small cities.
It's important to realize how Prop 1 and Prop 2 do work together to increase quality of life for the citizens of Ada.
Every community is actively involved in economic development because that is what provides the tax base that then provides the services for the community, helps the community grow. And Proposition 2 is the mechanism in the city of Ada that we use to fund those efforts here.
While the 3/4 cent sales tax known as Proposition 1 helped rebuild Ada over the past 14 years, the remaining 1/4 cent has helped bring new jobs to town. The two propositions have combined to create perhaps the most important and successful penny in Ada's history.
I think Proposition 1 and 2 do work together hand in hand. If you don't have safe streets and good drinking water, you're going to find it hard to attract businesses to Ada.
Other communities around us are working real hard to attract businesses, to keep their local businesses. We also want to keep our local businesses, and we want to attract new businesses as well.
Without Proposition 2, it will be significantly harder for us to attract jobs to Ada. Prop 2 is our vehicle to keep people working and to continue to bring new jobs, not only for the people who live here now, but for our kids and for our grandkids.
Before 1998, Ada was at an economic standstill. That summer, the unemployment rate was hovering near 9%. Prior to that year, Ada regularly exceeded the state and national unemployment rates. In many cases, citizens were forced to leave town in order to find steady work.
Every community around us that's like Ada that I know of has some sort of economic development effort underway. Everyone that I know of has a funding mechanism that provides the resources for their outreach efforts to businesses, their development efforts with their existing businesses. If Ada does not have a mechanism like Prop 2 to fund that, we're going to fall behind other communities. It's probably more important today than it ever has been before to be active and aggressive in economic development because everyone else is looking for those businesses and those jobs to come to their community. So even if our goal was not to grow, even if it was just to hold what we have, you have to actively pursue that or other communities will come take your businesses and your jobs.
The biggest competition retail-wise is Shawnee, McAllister, Ardmore, those cities that are around us that are generally our size. Most stores are only going to go to one of those cities, especially the stores that we really most want to see here. And it is active competition. Cities are working hard to bring those businesses in.
We compete with Oklahoma City and Tulsa. We compete with Dallas. We also don't compete on the same terms. We can't offer what Dallas does, but we can offer some things that Dallas doesn't. You can get to work quickly here. It's a lot cheaper to live here than it is to live in Dallas. Our schools are just as good as the Dallas schools. We have a college here. So all of these things make Ada an attractive place for potential employers.
Just as they had done with Proposition 1, citizens took note of the situation and decided to do something about it. They approved Proposition 2 at the same time, and by doing so announced in a collective voice that they would not let Ada wither on the vine. As they did with Proposition 1, they renewed Proposition 2 twice more, encouraged by the positive employment results generated by the quarter-cent measure.
I think that without the funding source for Prop 2 especially, we would not be able to incentivize these employers to where they're willing to take a chance to locate here.
Prop 2 brought in or kept types of jobs that probably hadn't been here before. Anyone can work in Ada. There is a job for you here.
With the initial approval of Proposition 2, the city created the Ada Jobs Foundation, an organization committed to bringing new employers to the community, as well as retaining established employers.
Ada Jobs has expanded our efforts to attracting all types of high-paying jobs, whether it be in manufacturing, services, retail, or any other area. We're also focused on helping our local businesses grow, and if they wish to expand, which is what we would really encourage them to do, providing them tools, education, and assistance to enable them to expand.
Without an economic arm for the city of Ada, we will not be in that economic development race. Ada Jobs is not only designed to help bring in additional jobs, that is an utmost goal of Ada Jobs, but Ada Jobs is also working with existing companies here in our community to keep them successful.
Prop 2 funds come into the city just like any other tax, and the city council puts those funds to work in the places that we deem best. A lot of that goes to Ada Jobs, but not all of it goes to Ada Jobs Foundation. But the city council and the citizens through the city council are the people who determine how that funding works and where it goes and how it can best move Ada forward.
Not long after Proposition 2 was first approved in 1998, Ada's unemployment rate dropped thanks to the addition of new employers and the retention of current ones. Since Proposition 2 has been in place, Ada's average unemployment rate has been 4.4%, hitting a record low of 2.3% in 2008.
We graduate a lot of people from local high schools here. We have a lot of people that graduate from the local university here. We'd like for those people to stay and be part of the community. But in order to do that, we have got to be able to offer them jobs and a place to live. And that's part of our effort in the next 5 years is to get us to that point where there are jobs and there is housing and there are those quality of life issues that make a Norman or Oklahoma City or Dallas attractive to young people to make them want to stay here.
We have more businesses have grown. The economic development branch of Ada, which is the Ada Jobs Foundation, I think has done a tremendous job on bringing and searching for new companies to come in and doing their best to bring them here. We have the luxury of having one of the lowest unemployment rates in the area, and I think that's just fantastic, and that's certainly fun to tell people that are looking at the area, that we have a good, strong economy and a lot of community support in it.
Proposition 2 has helped insulate Ada from recessions as well. While the country recently endured the worst economy since the Great Depression, Ada's unemployment rate remained well below the state and national rates. In fact, Ada's labor force grew during the most recent recession by more than 1,500 employees.
I think that you can look around and see the impact. We are able to retain and keep quality employers where we've been able to recruit additional jobs. I think that it's clear that both Prop 1 and 2 are making it to where we can grow this community.
It's more than a spot of good fortune, it's a trend. In the past 14 years, Proposition 2 has helped grow Ada's workforce by 29%, the equivalent of 5,000 employees. During this same period, the nation's labor force grew at a slower clip of 12%, and Oklahoma's workforce grew by a mere 8%.
I can tell you that there is a new business that was announced last December, PEI Worldwide. Their ultimate intention is to hire up to 200 workers. They produce a manufactured styrofoam brick product for the construction industry, and they are in the process of getting their manufacturing up and running right now. That's the most recent example of somebody coming to Ada, and they came to Ada because we went out and were at a place where they met our economic development person and made that connection, and it grew from there. Now we happen to have a facility that they could use. We have a college here that can provide some of their education needs. So these things all work together, but again, without that aggressive economic development effort, we would not have had a shot at that.
Retail business has grown considerably since the passage of Proposition 2. Since 1998, the annual adjusted retail sales for Ada have increased by 62%, or approximately $120 million. Ada now ranks among the highest per capita retail sales when compared to cities of similar size in Oklahoma.
We, through Prop 2 in the past year, have proven that people come to Ada to shop. And we can prove that and we can show that now. And we have a demographic, we have a group of people in Ada that retailers want to work with. That people who want to shop here and people who will shop here if those stores are here.
Ada itself is a hub for Pontotoc County where people come and spend money. But the more people you can attract to your community, the more of your funding source comes from outside that community.
I don't know that you go anywhere and spend any money without helping that community. I mean, you may not be cognizant of that. You know, you may not think about it when you're paying for your lunch or your dinner or your clothing. But certainly we all do that everywhere we go. You know, if we go out of town shopping, then we're helping that community do something. So I don't mind if they come here and want to help this community do something and enjoy the visit and maybe decide to move here.
While Ada's population has grown by 4.9% over the past 14 years, the per capita retail sales have increased by a whopping 54%. This indicates that not only are new jobs being created by Proposition 2, but that these jobs continue to pay higher wages that increase disposable income in the community.
People come into Ada to shop, they come into Ada to work. Usually people spend money where they work because they're here during the day. So because of that, when they are coming here, they're buying lunch, they're buying gas, they're stopping at a grocery store on the way home and buying something.
We're able to grow the community based on all of the contributions that are coming in for Prop 1 and $2. It's a bigger pot and we can have more of an impact with those funds.
Since 1998, more than $5 million in Proposition 2 funds have been invested in businesses in the Ada area. These investments have led to the retention of 780 jobs and the creation of 1,700 new jobs. These jobs account for 15% of the labor force growth.
You can't grow and have progress and new business, which is new jobs, which is a good economy, which we are fortunate enough to have, without progress. And those things that are infrastructure companies look at that are thinking about putting people here, companies here, relocating, you just can't exist without progress.
One of the great things about using funds for economic development is that the return on the use of those funds is multiplied greatly. So if you create a new job, for every dollar that's spent creating that job, you're probably going to generate $5 or $6 in economic activity for the community, which is jobs for other people, it's salaries for other people, and it is making it more attractive to bring more people in and continue that positive cycle.
Ada is on a roll and has been since 1998. Citizens now have an opportunity to help continue Ada's winning streak. There are many more streets that need repair. A fourth overhead water storage facility is in the works. Much of the underground water and sewer lines still need replaced.
If Prop 1 did not exist or were not passed, we would see an immediate reduction in the improvements we make in our infrastructure system across streets, water, and sewer.
I think the citizens of Ada recognize that the right guidelines were put into effect to make sure this money is spent correctly. And the guidelines are there to make sure that the money is spent the only way that Prop 1 and 2 were written in order to spend that money.
We have seen a great leap forward since Prop 1 and Prop 2 were passed, and I think people recognize that has been a benefit to them.
Proposition 2 has positively touched nearly every Ada citizen in some form or another, whether it be personally or through a friend or family member. Proposition 2 has helped put Ada on the radars of many potential new employers, and citizens have an opportunity to make certain that trend continues.
I just took a road trip to California, and going through lots of communities, you can see who is actively wanting their community to grow and who is not. And we want to be known as a place where things are happening, and it's a good place to be.
My husband and I, 25 years ago, I remember the conversation. We sat down together and decided we wanted to bring our kids up in Ada. Before we ever had kids, we talked about moving to Dallas. And we both had been brought up in a town about the size of Ada. We both said, no, we don't want to live in a big community. We want to live right here. It's a great place to raise a family, and that's why we're here, and that's why we continue to stay here.
I would like for Ada to continue on the path of growth. I would like the residents to celebrate who we are and see that we are a model for other communities. Ada is able to grow and diversify and make the most of what we have here. It's a great place to be.